Hey everyone, it's your girl, Jenny Lynn by Jen. And today on Let's Get Real, I have a local real estate agent.
My name's Cori Adams, and I'm an agent with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and making the drive. So she's coming from down south, South King County, where I'm from too.
Yeah.
And so our commute is like a little over an hour sometimes.
Yeah, it took me like an hour and 15 just to get here. Like, it was terrible.
Commitment, you guys, commitment.
Yeah.
Well, today I wanted to just kind of highlight who you are, share a little bit about, you as a real estate agent, what you were doing prior, and just get to know you a little bit.
Yeah, let's do it.
So what made you want to become a real estate agent?
So I have a previous history doing dental assisting, and then I worked my way up to insurance billing. And from that point on, I had like a daughter, and I just needed more of like the flexibility, because being at these corporate jobs at 9 to 5, you have to be there the whole entire time. I just couldn't do that. I was like, I want to be able to work when I want to work, be able to bring my daughter along, and really just have, I feel like, the full potential on how much money I can make. I don't want to have that max or cap that someone really holds me back.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people can resonate with that, especially being a mother and trying to balance that time and having that flexibility. That's kind of why I kind of stepped into this role too. We control that. We control our time, but also we control our money, but we're putting more work and effort in, right?
Yeah. It can be a good thing and a bad thing because, it's like I get the freedom and flexibility, so I need to make sure I'm utilizing my time.
Yeah. Is there anything like that any skill sets that you've carried from being a dental assistant or insurance billing that you're able to showcase in real estate?
I feel like kind of still just like customer service, you know, because especially with insurance billing, you're getting yelled at by insurance companies all day dealing with different personalities and all the stuff like that. So I really just feel like it goes hand in hand.
Did you feel like you have a knack for getting in front of people too? Because you're, as a dental assistant or even insurance billing, you're kind of client facing as a dental assistant. What or who inspired you to become a real estate agent?
That's a good question. Honestly, I think it just came to me. I don't even remember. Honestly, I started my real estate journey back in 2017. Is when I first went to real estate school and did the classes. And I honestly didn't even take the test right after because I didn't know anything about it. I didn't even know what a mortgage was. They were like, mortgage? I'm like, what is that? Yeah. So I don't know. I just feel like it kind of came to me. And now that I'm in it, I feel like it's just something I was called to do.
Yeah. And it's kind of good when you're learning it yourself too, because when you're talking to people, you're almost, while you're educating yourself, you're educating others.
Exactly. Right? That's my biggest thing. Because I'm like, for me, I don't consider myself like a salesperson, It's more so I'm really here to help people. I want to build that relationship. I want to give you the education because I feel like education is key, a lot of stuff that I didn't know when I was growing up. I'm like, dang, I wish I would have knew that, stuff that they didn't teach us. So that's what I feel like my role is.
Yeah. And then as far as your clients, are most of them primarily first-time home buyers?
Yeah. So definitely first-time home buyers, even to people who are wanting to buy, but they need to work on their credit a little bit. And so really just guiding them through the process.
I feel like we also come from a background where for me, financial education wasn't as important as other topics, right?
Exactly.
And so now when you're an adult and you're having to learn these things, even us educating and teaching, do you know what a budget is?
Right.
Do you know how to create a savings plan?
Yeah.
And so just by setting up those steps to prep them for purchasing a home and then helping them realize you can technically change that by shifting your mindset, right? You can change your status of where you're at and really put yourself in a position to do more, to do better, to earn more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even I feel like that it's possible, a lot of people, it's they grow up and they haven't been exposed to people owning homes or, having the savings account or anything. So I feel like just really letting people know that it's possible for everybody. You said, we just got to take the steps to get there, and not knowing the steps, how can you ever get there? Exactly.
Yeah. What advice would you give to first-time home buyers?
First-time home buyers, I feel like first, have an open mindset, Obviously, your first home may not be your dream home. It may not be everything that you've ever wanted, but it's also a great step, I feel like taking that step is the best thing that you can do because from that point on, you'll be building equity, and then you'll be able to get into the home you want or be able to, I feel like, use that equity in other places. So just don't be afraid is what I would recommend.
Yeah, and knowledge. Knowledge is power when it comes to purchasing a home. Learn.
Yeah.
Right? Do your research and learn too. While we're sharing and educating, it is your responsibility as a homeowner to also do your research so that way you're well informed of what your options are or what's out there or what that could mean for you too.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing about the job?
I think all like the different ways you get to meet people.
Yeah.
You know, it's like walking in Target and then they're just like, oh, see your name tag and you're like, oh, you do real estate. I have a cousin that wants. You're like, oh, great, let's have this conversation. You know, it's like all these different ways you can meet people. Like you never know. And for me, I'm a very social person, so I'm like outside and just randomly, I'm like at a bar having a drink and someone's like, oh my God, I want to buy a house. I'm like, you know what? I'm your girl. Those
are the best times too, right?
Yeah, it's the best time because I feel like, I don't know, like for a reason, like you're planted in those places at that time, you know? I'm like, oh, I was supposed to be here.
Yeah, and it's good conversation too. Like you don't realize like more people are having those conversations too because they're surrounded, they're hearing it, they're hearing the noise and they're like, okay, so you tell me what you know about this.
Right, yeah, I know, seriously. Some people even try to educate you like the market's like this, is like that. I'm like, okay, well tell me then.
Yeah, especially door knocking, right? Door knocking is a challenge because every time you door knock, we have a story, guys.
We do.
Every time you door knock, you just don't know who's behind the door.
Yeah.
Right? It's almost as if like if you don't say hi or if you don't engage with others, you don't know what opportunity you're creating.
Exactly.
Now, granted, you're probably going to come across some weird or uncomfortable or just some scenarios.
Yeah. I think you still just work through it. Like, you know, like our experience is like, just go for it regardless. You know, it's like, we're here, go ahead. Like, I've even had people that were like, this guy was like hiding behind his car. Like, literally, I'm like walking up and he's like ducking and dodging. I'm like, I just wanted to give you some information. Like, you know, if you don't want to talk to me, that's completely fine. But you never know, and like, unless you talk to people.
Exactly. And we're just really trying to help. We're really just trying to find the right people when you're ready, right?
Yeah.
And just share what we know, right?
Yeah.
Because the one thing we don't want you to do is just be so reliant on one source that may not be the right source.
Exactly.
And maybe like even for news, like all they're really sharing is like negative news. I mean, granted, they do share facts, but sometimes some of the things you hear is just not positive. And so it can really bring you to a place where like, is that really what's going on?
Yeah.
Well, no, it's not.
Right, yeah. And to everyone's situation is different, you know? So it's like their situation is going to be different than your own. Why not find out that information for your personal experience? Because it may not even be as bad as you think, you know? Like you said, the news is going to expose it in a way that isn't going to be favorable for everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you guys, I just want to share something funny that we came across recently. We did door knocking. So for those of you who don't know what door knocking is really just going around the neighborhoods or going around places and just knocking on doors and just kind of introducing ourselves. The one advice I would love to give people is, please, when you open the door, if you decide to open the door, be fully clothed.
Please.
We know it's hot. We know the summer's hot, but like I'm saying, like, just cover the parts that we don't want to see.
He sure did.
Yeah. It does put us in, you know, in unsafe predicaments, but we do try to like go together. There are some things that we do to protect ourselves too, but seriously, guys, like, be fully clothed.
Yeah, like if you got to talk through a window, like that is fine, you know?
We're totally fine. That we'll still have conversations through that window. Just, we don't want you to open door where you're exposing yourself in all ways.
Literally. I think that's the fun part, though. It's like someone's going to be sitting in an office, you know, staring at 4 blank walls, and we're literally outside just seeing the craziest things in the middle of the day. Like,
the craziest. And the thing is, you guys, like, I know me and Cori had that thought process, like, oh, we're really going to open the door fully naked and have a full-on conversation. Literally. And here's Cori and I, like, hey, we just want to introduce ourselves, like looking around, trying not to make eye contact. All right, have a good one. Walk away. We're not even saying anything to each other because we don't want, you know, windows, doors are open, and we don't want to say anything wrong. We just started laughing. We're like,
I'm like,
we really did experience that.
I'm like, he really opened the door, though. Like, that's the crazy thing. Like, he didn't even pretend not to be home and any of that. Like, he's like, all right, it's hot, like you said.
We're like, okay, we know it's hot.
Right? Hey, at least we made a contact. Look, maybe he'll probably possibly come to the home buyer's workshop. You never know. So you got to take that risk sometimes.
I may have to start putting asterisks, like, please be fully clothed.
Right, seriously.
Dressed properly.
Have like a sign when you open the door. You're like, do you have clothes on? Please, don't open without clothes.
Exactly. So those are just some fun things that we come across in our roles. Like, we have so many unique stories. It says, well, what keeps you motivated? What helps you stay motivated, especially in this environment?
Honestly, I feel like for me, like my big why is honestly to break like the generational curse of poverty, like over my lineage. Like, I know a lot of people say that, but for me, I'm like, I feel like it really is deeply rooted in my family. And for me, I feel like I was the chosen one to really just get my family out of that. And it starts with me. And then I want to be able to pass that on to my daughter. And as well, I want to be able to like show my daughter like the different ways that you can do a business. Like I want to teach her how to be a business owner. You know, from her dad's side, she sees how it is to be an employee. I want her to see the side of being a business owner so she can definitely decide what the right path is for her, having those options, being exposed to that. So that kind of just keeps me motivated, because just seeing the life that she has, I will have like an easier, you know, step up than I've ever had. Really it just brings joy to my heart.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, especially breaking those, that's what I'm talking about, like breaking those generational habits too. Like you don't realize that it really is up to you to make those changes. And sometimes you don't realize, we use it as an excuse. Like, well, I grew up like this, or that's what I knew. Well, guess what? Like, there's so much information out there. You can make that change. The only thing we can't do for you is you wanting it for yourself.
Exactly.
You wanting to make those changes for yourself. But we do try to like help and inspire and motivate others who are having those hard times. That's why we sit down and do like the budgeting workshops, or how to create savings plans, or, you know, just those simple things, or just putting you with the right resources. So that way, if you're serious about making those changes for yourself, we will provide you with the resources. Now it's up to you to put in that work and really hold yourself, or even, and I feel like from there too, it's surrounding yourself by people who are doing that.
Yes.
Right? Because definitely. If you're stuck, if you're trying to do this for yourself, you're trying to make those changes yourself, but the people you surround yourself around aren't supporting you in a way that's saying, like, giving you ups instead of saying like, man, that's so great, I love that you're making those changes, or they're not doing it also. I can see how it has pulled some of them down.
Exactly.
You know, and it kept them back to, well, this is way too hard, or it's too, you know, I can't do this, or just finding every excuse and then giving up on themselves. And that's the one thing it's hard. It's hard to like walk away, or not necessarily walk away, but it's hard to just say, hey, you know, I want to be able to do this for you, but I need you to want it. And that's what I mean by you got to want it bad enough for yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing. I feel like that's one of the challenges like in this business is keeping people motivated and wanting, you know, because it's like you said, you have to want it for yourself first. And, you know, once you're at that point, then we can be there for you. We can be that support that you need. But still, it's like you have to really hold that in your heart, because other people in your surroundings, it will drag you down. You know? It's like you really have to fight just to get out of that. Like, constantly, you know? But it's so worth it once you do. And then you're like, thank God.
It is. And the one thing that I want to share is like, once you get through that little hump, whatever it may be for you, you don't realize how limitless you start to feel, because you're like, man, I overcame that hard thing. And I did this for me. I made that shift. I want to keep doing more. Now I want to surround myself by people who are doing it, because I want to just learn from them and really, you know, take what works for you and, you know, implement that in your life around, you know, your habits or whatever it is, and then just be surrounded by that. And I feel like when you realize that you actually have control over putting yourself in that opportunity or in that position to want that for yourself, you guys, like, things just, you don't realize you just what you manifest.
It just happens. And even I feel like what you attract to, you know, it's like once you start thinking better and higher, and it's just like you get around, like you said, people like that, then you're like, wow, you just bought a house? Okay, maybe I can, you know, like that's what I really just love. I feel like I just talked about this actually in training yesterday. We're talking about like limiting beliefs and stuff. Like, what are your limiting beliefs? What really stops you from getting to that next point? Because that's something that like holds you back, and just working through that, you know, it's like, if you think, oh, I can't do this because no one in my family has ever done it. It's like, you know, well, first of all, you're not your family. You are yourself as an individual. And, you know, what are the steps that you need to take to get through that? It's really just like breaking that fear, breaking the fear of the unknown. You know, it's just keep pushing through. And it's like, it can be hard, but it's just, you have to have a light at the end of the tunnel. Like, what is your light?
Exactly. And, you know, for those of you who are actually going through the process of home ownership, and you have been pre-approved and you're out there shopping, and now you're putting in all these offers and you're getting outbid, because we are in that market, right? And sometimes it can be discouraging, but the thing is, anytime you fear something, I always say replace it with a fact, right? It just takes time and patience and the right partners or the people that you hire to help you, guide you through that process. And anytime you're saying, hey, you know, I've already submitted like 3 or 4 offers and I'm getting outbid, maybe I need to wait. Well, you probably don't need to wait that long, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just a shift in maybe your needs versus wants, or maybe we might have to go as far as the location. We may just have to make some adjustments, right? But the thing is, stay patient, you know, replace those fears with facts. Well, what is happening? Have those conversations with your real estate agents and your loan officers. The one thing too, I realize is once they're pre-approved, they kind of go shopping and they forget to talk to their loan officers, and they only like reach out when they're ready to put an offer in. But for me, it's like, no, let's continue. I'm calling you for a reason. Like pick up the phone or like text me. You know, that's why I'm a resource. Let me help you, you know, through the process every week. Interest rates, right? Yeah. They change daily. Even the cost for the interest rate, right? Yeah. Interest rates are subject to change daily and can change at any time. This is why having those conversations with the loan officers and your real estate agents on a weekly basis is helpful to you, because if there is like a sudden shift in rates, it could affect like your pre-approval, or you know, maybe there are another like loan programs that come out where it makes it more affordable, or maybe you have a little like where you can be competitive. Like things like our NAF cash program, like if you're in a position where that could potentially benefit you and you're getting outbid by all these other buyers, why not turn yourself into a cash buyer, help you get into that. Yes, it may cost a little bit more, but you're in that property that you want, and then we can talk about refinancing later, so that way we can, you know, find that break-even point, right? Yeah. And if you don't know what I mean by that break-even point just means the amount of money or the amount that you've invested in yourself, and also how you can get that back over time, right? That break-even point is how can we save you money? And that's where we talk about like savings, right? Yes, you're going to have to pay a little bit. There's interest, right? Everyone is paying an interest. And so, but how do we decrease that for you so that way there is eventually an overall savings and you're not having to pay any more than you need to?
Yeah, right? I think just having those options, like you said, you know, you can get pre-approved for this, but also have another option later on down the road to really get you in this specific house. You know, maybe you need to do things differently for this house. But also I feel like too, when people do kind of get discouraged when their offers aren't accepted, for me, I kind of think of it not really like a denial, but like a redirection, you know? I feel like maybe that's not even the house for you, you know? You were trying to get this house, and maybe there's a better one out there that really just makes that fit. So just sticking with it. You know, if you want it bad enough, it's like it's going to happen. But like you said, just be patient, because there's a reason why things happen the way they do.
I know. I truly believe in that too. Yeah. The redirection. Yeah. You know, it's almost, I say this often, like it's almost like, you know, don't look at the bad things that happen to you as something that like happened to you. Look at that as a lesson. You know, find the blessing in those lessons, because it's just it's redirecting you to the right path, right? And I can kind of speak that in volumes personally. But that's for a whole other topic. We can come back to that another day. Because I know we had gone through things, and we had, you know, the interesting fact about Cori is we were connected through another real estate agent. Yeah. Right. And so I had met Cori for the first time at an open house. Like we hadn't even had coffee or anything. I just said, okay, you need somebody at your open house, I'm going to show up. Yeah. And you guys, like, we just kicked it off. Like, it's one of those, like, when you find the right energy, when you find the right people, like, you just kick it off, and, like, you don't realize, like, you just need that. You gravitate to people who are around that.
Literally, like, we talked until the open house was over. We're like, wait, it's done. Like,
man, we can still talk. Okay, let's go lunch. Right, let's go lunch.
Time to get out of here now. Yeah. I just love that. It's, like, really, but I feel like it's like we were talking about earlier, the energy that you attract and you just put out there is, like, you're going to get it right back, you know?
Yes, exactly. So I know we talked about the challenges for home buyers. What are some challenges that you've faced as a real estate agent?
For me, I guess like more so in the beginning was just like all the no's. Like I felt like I was kind of like intimidated by the no's. I felt like we're talking about limiting beliefs. Some of mine were just like, what if I'm bothering them? You know, what if they don't want to talk to me? You know, like all of those things. So it just kind of like made me hold back a little bit. But I kind of had to like shift my mindset, and I'm just like, You never know, you know, and like we're talking about, a no isn't a no. It's just a not right now.
Not right now.
Not this person. Maybe not this moment. You don't know. So I just really had to like push through that. And I mean, it's still a challenge sometimes too, because, you know, sometimes you get so excited and you want to help people and you want to do this, and they're just like, they're not there yet. So they're like, I don't know. And you're just like, okay, well, I'm here whenever you're ready, you know. But yeah, definitely a challenge. Just I feel like too, trying to keep people motivated
Yeah.
and inspired and all that, because I'm just so big on energy and like uplifting people, you know, and it's like some people just aren't there yet. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it can be tough. And it also, like, for us to pull ourselves back from that, because we're literally your biggest cheerleaders.
Literally.
Right? Like, we just so badly want this for you, because we know what it's like to, like, not have that or not be in a position to have that. And now we're in a position where we can create opportunities, not just for ourselves, but for others.
Yeah.
And you need those cheerleaders in your life. You don't,
do.
you know, you come across people in your life and you may not have that, you know, and sometimes you come and you meet people who you think are there for you and then they're not, right? And so we genuinely really want to help and be your biggest cheerleaders in this transaction, and also long term, right? It's not just getting you into that home, it's long term wealth, and what that means for you
and your family. You know, it's just like knowing how far, like someone buying a house, the equity and how far that can get you in life is just like, I want to be able to help people get there, you know? It's just like really change that whole dynamic, just shift everything, you know? Like, in like any way that I can help, I'm really here for it. So that's the one thing I love about this job, you know? Like, people say it's so cliche, but it's like turning dreams into reality. But I'm like, it's so true. Like, your dream of having a home and actually owning one becomes a reality for a future business you may have, for your kids, your grandkids. Like, you know, it's like literally 4 generations from now, they're going to be like, oh my God, thank God we have a house that we can live in, you know, because our great-great-grandmother bought this. Like, that's really what I do it for.
Yeah. Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is, you guys. It really is dreams turning into reality. Like, we love the work that we do.
We do. I think it makes it best when you really just do something that you love. Because honestly, it's not even like working, you know? It's like, I'm just out here talking to people all the time, enjoying, you know, the opportunities that I have to meet them and really just educate them. And I feel like there's really not a price point on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's one thing that you feel like you're unbeatable at?
I feel like just like my connection that I have with people. I'm such a people person. Like, honestly, it's like, I feel like I just give off that energy that like a complete stranger will tell me their whole life story within like the first 2 minutes of like meeting them, you know? They're like, I just feel so comfortable talking to you. And I'm like, I think that's just like my strength. Like, I really am too, like a listener. So it's like, if you have anything you need to say or get off your chest, like, I'm definitely here for you, and I'm a non-judgmental person at all, you know? So I think that's definitely my superpower.
Yeah. And I love that. And you need people like that in your life, you guys. Well, we're running out of time, and I feel like we could keep going, so we might have to bring her back for more, and we could talk about our journeys too, like our personal journeys growing up, if that's okay with you.
Of course, yeah.
And have you come back and share that. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Thank you again, Cori, for being here and making the drive. I hope you guys enjoyed what Cori had to share, and if you can relate to that, please give it a like, subscribe, and please share so that way people can learn too.
Yeah, we're definitely here to help people.
Exactly. All right, you guys. Bye. Until next time.